This is episode 23 with Natalie Kuhn from The Class by Taryn Toomey. Every ounce of your being is made up of molecules of energy vibrating at different frequencies that determine your experience here on planet Earth.
This podcast's intention is to inspire you to elevate the vibration of your energy for yourself and for all of us. This is The Elevator.
Hop on in and ride into the ethers with Britt and Tara of Elevate the Globe.
We're so excited that this week on The Elevator, we have Natalie, who is the vice president and founding teacher of The Class by Taryn Toomey. And Natalie is just like a bundle of joy. When you meet her, you'll listen to her. When we sit down with her, she's just so happy and like cracking with energy.
So we have been following The Class by Taryn Toomey and Taryn and Natalie's work for a while, and we had heard so many good things about it, and it's really aligned with so much of what we believe, and it's so different than Kundalini, but there's also a lot of similarities. So we were really excited to try it, and after we tried it, we had an incredible experience, and we're just so empowered by what they're doing and what they've built and how they're changing people's lives through this really vigorous workout class that also has like a spiritual spin on it and a really emotional cleansing side of it.
Yeah, it's one of those classes where you do like moves for, full songs, and it's very much like mind training, like Kundalini, which I found to be the most interesting about it. I mean, it was really hard, but it was also really like I wanted to do it because the group energy was so big. Like there was no option of giving up,
Yes.
But you do these movements for like a whole song, and much like Kundalini, you're training your mind to get through things, to get through the ups and the downs of life, and with grace, and just keep moving. And I loved that. And there were some things that I even noticed about myself by doing the class one time.
Yes.
So that was, I think that's what Natalie talks about. Like, that's why they built the class, or that's why they created it, to have people have that kind of experience. So I was like, cool, high five. You did a good job, because I had one.
Yeah. And, we find with all this Kundalini, of course, some Kundalini classes and sets are much more rigorous than others. But as far as having a complement really like vigorous workout, it's hard for us to, step into one of those boot camp style workouts that has no soul. So like I love Soul Cycle, and I really liked this class a lot because it is really aligned with our vibration and where we're at. And Natalie and The Class by Taryn Toomey definitely is as well. So it was fun to sit down with her and get to know her. And we're so excited for you guys to hear this conversation. And we even go into a lot about lack and comparison. We talk about the Me Too movement, making a choice to change. So much great wisdom and inspiration in this episode. Really. Like this is definitely an incredible one to listen to. We're so honored to have Natalie on, and we know that you guys will absolutely love this episode and want to get up out of your car, out of your chair, move your body, and empower the world.
Exactly.
But before we get into it, we're so excited that this episode is brought to you by our 528 Academy.
Yay!
Yay! So if you're brand new to us, or if you don't know what the 528 Academy is, it's our monthly membership community where we align with the cosmos through the different astrological seasons, and we pair and curate meditations, challenges, books, Ayurvedic recipes, and we do new moon or full moon live yoga gatherings that have been so incredibly powerful and fun. And so we're really elevating together, and we give you everything you need to be in harmony with Mother Earth and the energy that's available to us, and really use it to elevate and to take our lives to new incredible levels. And we're actually in a new season.
We are. So last Thursday, summer solstice, the longest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, the sun actually moved into Cancer. So now we're in Cancer season with a full new season of content available. And in this season, Cancer, is really about the nurturing and the mother. It's the moon child, worships the moon. It's the goddess. It's the mother. And we're really worshiping the feminine within ourselves in this season. So everything we're doing is really aligned with that theme. And it's really, really cool. And we're feeling like, a lot of, I would say our community right now is mostly women, but that's just for now. So we felt it appropriate to really do a meditation that was specifically for women. So even just rewatching our videos and everything that we put together for this, I got so excited. I was like, oh man, the feminine and within all of us is going to be rising high this season.
And that's the thing. Even though this meditation that we have curated for this season was said by Yogi Bhajan to be just for women, the entire season is really about honoring the feminine within. So all of us, male and female, and anything else that's under gender, because there's so much now. It's really all about honoring the masculine and the feminine within for all of us and balancing it. And so this energy really helps us to do that. I'm a Cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer baby.
Britt's birthday is tomorrow, June 26th.
Yay! So I love working with this energy, and it's really beautiful for summer. And oh my God, just everything. This season is so exciting and fun.
It is. It's like really like juicy feminine goddess energy.
Social.
Yeah. It's like oh God, it's so much feeling. That's what it is. Cancers feel
emotional
so much, and their intuition is so heightened, and they are able to really connect with the cosmos. And so we can really pull in that energy, and that feeling intuitive nature kind of comes through us more so during this season than others.
And we explain so much more about it. We always have a full astrological reading each season. So this is really a guide, and we're doing it all together. We're really elevating higher than any of us could individually as we come together in this powerful community, consciously connecting and challenging each other. So last month was so cool. We had so many breakthroughs and so many people doing lives, because that was all about conscious communication and sharing about the challenges and everything.
Stepping out of your comfort zone. And
yes. So we're just continuing moving forward and elevating. So we encourage every single person to join us. If you're not in the Academy, we actually have a free 7-day trial. So we'll put the link in the show notes, and definitely check it out. Join us in the community and elevate with us in 528 Academy.
So enjoy this week's show. Welcome back to The Elevator. And this week we're here with Natalie Kuhn from the Class by Taryn Toomey. And she's the vice president and a founding teacher. And we're here at her home in Santa Monica with her dogs, and we're having tea. And I just took your class yesterday and like can't barely walk up the stairs anyway, but welcome, Natalie.
Not sorry.
Welcome to The Elevator.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, ladies.
Yes, I know. We're so excited. We'd been following Natalie for a while, and then Lily, our assistant, was obsessed with all of your stuff and was telling us how much we had to take the class.
What a dream.
Yes.
What
So
a dream
I
boat.
took it on Sunday. Yeah. And I'm also still sore, but had such an incredible experience.
How many days has that been? 4 days?
4 days.
Yeah. Okay.
For the first timer, it is a bit of a shock to the system, to the physical system. And then the body gets stronger super quick. And then the emotional body follows. So,
Right. Yeah.
So powerful.
So before we get into anything, can you just give us a little elevator pitch, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds of who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Natalie, born and raised Los Angelino, now bi-coastal with New York. I'm an Aries.
We were just talking about that.
and a daughter and a sister and a wife, a friend, a colleague, mother to Coupon, my dog, who's steal of a deal. And and I also serve as VP and founding teacher for the class by Taryn Toomey.
I love it. Yeah.
So amazing. And you're an activist and do so much amazing work in the world. So we'd love for you to share a little bit more about your background, because we know you were a dancer and did so much.
Yeah.
And just a little bit about your journey getting to where you're at.
Sure. I grew up in the house that we are currently recording this podcast in, which is it's just an amazing gift to return here as an adult and be able to live in the foundational, the bones of my childhood, And my mom was a teacher. She was also a nun for 5 years. And I think that while, of course, she had left the nunnery long before I was born, I think that spiritual background was definitely in there, running through the current or the fabric of my childhood. And then my dad is a doctor, and he's the most curious person I know. Probably the most intelligent person I know.
Mm-hmm.
Very dedicated to his craft, which is also in healing, right? I have a brother and a sister, and my brother's in Seattle. I still don't totally understand what he does because it's in the tech world. I've had to write down notes on his profession in my phone because I just don't totally understand software. And my sister is a Jungian analyst. So that rounds out the family. There's definitely a lot of spiritual threads.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to New York when I was 17 for college. I was in New York for 13 years. I was an actor. I danced for bands, but I was never formally trained. So that was a wild ride of trying to figure out the job while I was in the job. And then eventually was really searching in my mid to late 20s, searching to love something more, because the lifestyle of both of those art forms was not working for me. And that's when the universe or the gods or divinity, whatever you want to call it, brought Taryn into my life. She and I, it was like kismet, And that was the moment that we started to work on this thing that would later be called the Class by Taryn Toomey. And that was 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you guys actually meet?
How did we meet?
Yeah. What's that story?
After, I was acting, I was dancing, I was also bartending, and the bartending was starting to get me into some trouble. And so a girlfriend of mine was like, I do 10Ks with my coworkers. And I was like, well, that's a far cry from whiskey shots. So I ended up working at Lululemon, and Taryn would come in and visit just as a guest. And she said, I'm doing this thing in the basement or the gym of my apartment building. You should try it. So I came, much like you guys, I was sore for a week. I didn't want to hydrate because I didn't want to have to risk having to pee and squat on the toilet, get down, sit.
And that was hard this morning.
Yeah. And it looked different back then, but the roots were there, right? What Taryn was birthing was coming into fruition. And I met JC at that time, and it was the three of us for about 2.5 years until we decided that we wanted to articulate how to teach the class, and we wanted to bring the class to more and more people and figure out how to expand the conversation. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I met her through happenstance in the middle of a Lululemon.
Okay.
And it was before there was a website, before there was a name, and the tenements of the class were percolating in her system.
Oh, wow.
Really, you can really meet anyone anywhere, right? It doesn't have to be like a profound experience. It's just you paying attention, right?
I think if you're open enough and I call it, I look back on that time as holding my hand out for rain. And I think a lot of people who are going through that Saturn return, if you want to use the astrology way, or pushing 30, if you want to think about it in a different way, it's that period of time where your life priorities are shifting, how you identify as a woman or as a man, as a human, is starting to change shape. And I was open and ready for my life to change. I was asking for it.
Yeah.
Hoping for it.
So funny. We that's what happened to me. And that's what, I think a lot of people experience, especially going through that period of time, which your Saturn return, if everyone doesn't know, is when Saturn returns to its natal origin in your chart. So it's coming back around to kind of shower on some lessons and really change your life, right? And so Elevate the Globe was actually made right after Saturn return for both Britt and I. And it was, I would say, downloaded, not made, whatever. But yeah, it's that time where it's like, you're just asking for things. And we tell people that all the time. We just start asking like for your life to change. Like, what is it that you want? How do you want to expand? And so it's funny. It's like that. Of course that happens right then.
Right.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
When you're open.
Right?
Yeah.
And I do think those opportunities are there all the time. And it's just a matter of if we're listening in a particular way, seeing in a particular way, and that kind of attention, that sense of awareness in and of itself is transformational.
Yeah.
So true.
Oh, geez.
So, wow. So can the interviewee become the interviewer for a second?
Sure.
How did that podcast come into fruition during that specific time?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was actually first birthed through yoga and through teaching yoga and through sharing spirituality. And I found Kundalini yoga and started teaching it and went through a big transformation through getting out of addiction and then through my mom getting diagnosed with cancer and passing away and just like experiencing so much healing and growth and transformation and really just desire and passion for people to be well. And I realized that was my purpose and my focus and that nothing else really mattered after that. So it was just about trying to get clarity on in what form it looked. And so it was the same thing for us. We were just following the signs and the paths, doing the trainings, going to the workshops, sharing and being open. And then we went to a healer and that's where we really saw the vision of us working together to create Elevate the Globe. And the podcast was part of it. And then it was just all about everything that we can do to help elevate people's lives and the world. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of a big, it was like a lot leading up to the transition, but also it kind of like my life changed overnight when we saw that healer, John of God. So it was pretty profound, but it was what I was asking the same thing. Like I was like holding my hand out, like, okay, what do you guys need me to do? Who do I need to talk to today? What do I need to become? Who do I need to become? What do I need to say? Whatever it is, like I'm here to be of service. So please just show me how you want me to be of service. And so then stuff shows up, right? And some stuff that when you're that open, like you were too, you know, things that you just had no idea were even possible can show up. Because you're just like, I'm open for whatever. And I want it to be the highest path available. So whatever is the highest path available to me right now, show it to me.
It's certainly not, it's not my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I do tend toward the more cerebral side of things and the more intellectual side of things. One of my jobs is I was a research assistant for 6 years. I was dedicated to Bope's library. I was a total library rat. And so it's, it's not really in my nature to stay present to uncertainty and to the unknown. Very recently, that has become it's really a daily practice because I love that Jewish saying, says the girl full of nuns and priests in her family. But the Jewish saying, man plans and God laughs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, absolutely.
I have my schedule planned out till the end of 2018 and the travel and the and the risk, the courage is to wake up every morning and go, well, who knows if that's actually going to come through, right? Who knows if there's going to be traffic? Who knows if something divine is going to drop in? Who knows if they're just endless questions and letting the questions actually be okay.
Right.
Yes. And being like fluid and flexible enough to be graceful through all the changes and just know that like yes, this is better if it's happening.
I prefer to control the outcome.
Right?
I think most of us would prefer to know what's going to happen so that we don't actually have to step into that super disquieting place of risking the unexpected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it does feel like a risk, doesn't it? Sometimes, but it's really not, right? Because it's always going to be better than, it's always going to lead you to a better place.
I think ultimately that's the great 20,000 feet view, you know, that in the same vein of everything happens for a reason, right? But the actual letting yourself try to release from outcome is not easy, not fun, not comfortable, you know, and in the moment doesn't feel like it's going to be for the best, right?
Right.
In the moments of it, it's just somebody just tell me what's going to happen. Somebody just tell me it's going to be okay. You know, all of those ways in which we want to control the situation so that we don't have to ask the question over and over and over and over and over again and wait.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I mean, society, right? I mean, look at social media. Everything is about 6-second vines and your feed generating itself there's algorithms to your feed or whatever. And then it wanting to move up in your career hierarchy and the ways that things are supposed to go. All of these societal pressures that are just creating such a myopic vision for who we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to interact with the world or how we're supposed to move through the world at a specific time, at a specific rate.
So true. It's a lot.
There was such a period of my time, especially when I was in the acting and dancing field, where somebody else's success felt like I was failing. Mm-hmm. And that relationship to the race is absolutely unhealthy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You know, and now I think the wellness world, we have to be really careful about that too, because another woman's success doesn't mean that it's your failure. You know, we're not in that tie.
No.
And yet somehow like somebody putting out a book before you or somebody hitting a certain amount of followers before you or whatever is some metric of success. It's insane.
It's silly. Yeah.
It's silly.
I think it is like such a lack mindset to be in that place of comparing. And I definitely was there, but I feel like now it's like a daily practice to just be better than I was the day before and to just have that balance between like staying in your own lane, but also be inspired by others around you, but like not get into that energy of comparison because it really does just pull you down and then doesn't allow you to support and encourage and collaborate with other people. And it's just
well, it's never going to be like a one woman show. It's always like that saying of like, it takes a village, right? To like raise a child. It's literally the same thing, especially with women. It's like, we are actually a lot better together and we create so much power together. And that's you know, one thing, like I stepped into your class yesterday and that was the first thing I noticed was it felt like this. I mean, it was almost all women. I know there were men that go to the classes too, but it felt like we were, like it was the music and like all the women and everyone was like, the energy was so big and we were like chanting or something. And it was like, it felt primal. It felt like back thousands of years ago, what it felt like to be part of like a tribe. Like it actually, you know, we always talk about like your tribe or like your community, but it felt like it. Like it actually felt physically like it in terms of just like the sort of primal nature of it. I don't know, it just felt like power.
Yeah, I think that, while we don't chant, we do vocalize, right? We do,
that's what it is.
We do use an expressive sound. And I think largely that it helps on so many levels. But I think women have internalized smallness or quietness. And this is just a huge generalization, right? But part of the practice of the class by Taryn Toomey is using that vocal release, just a sound, right? That sound of an exhale, not only to release tension in the body and give it that highway, but also to hear yourself and be heard and to let that be a powerful physical lesson. That you making sound, creating sound, being heard by others, if you're doing that during your, to oversimplify, workout class once a day, that's your practice. You are practice hearing yourself be heard.
So powerful.
We need that.
We do.
And in terms of the sort of tribal female aspect of the class, I do think that we're in this beautiful wake of the Me Too movement. And I think what's so important to take away from that is that when you are able to share your story with honesty, with vulnerability, and with clarity, and hear somebody else recognize it, there is relief, there's connection, that is the basis of a movement, right?
Right.
So this is the sort of the tenement of that movement.
Right.
And so when we look at it in the context of the class, you are letting your movements sync up with each other. You're letting your voice rise together. You are giving yourself a safe space amongst other women to feel. And I don't know that I don't think there's anything more powerful than a group of women being vulnerable, and that our vulnerability becomes our strength. So
yeah, I loved it. There was somebody at the end of the class yesterday that was crying, and it was just like it felt like everyone was actually, no one was like, don't cry. Everyone was like, just get it out. Because, we forget that like when somebody else we're all very connected. So if we're in a big space that we just created a lot of energy and somebody's moving more energy, they're moving their energy and they are releasing whatever toxicities in their stagnant energy. Them doing that is helping everyone else in the room. So it's like, just hold it for them. Like, let them get it out. Like, get it out. Like, I don't want that could turn into sickness later. That could turn into so many different things. It's like, it's so healthy.
So healthy.
It's like, girl, get it out.
Yeah. It's in the class, tapping into any form of emotional needs is celebrated.
Right.
If you need to cry, if you need to yell, if you need to sit with it, if you need to be still, all of these things are celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And I love what you said about the vocalizing, because we do like a lot of chanting and Kundalini and have found a lot of healing through just using the power of our voice, and to do it while we're working out in the class. It's just, it just feels like another level of really connecting as women to speak up. And it's funny because even though it's just like a breath out and it kind of sounds like a HUD. Is that what you would say?
Well, ours is just a.
It's just like huh.
Yeah. Yours is HUD,
like,
right?
Yes, it sounded like the HUD that we do in Kundalini, which is
funny
prosperity and just good connection, and just opens up your mind for abundance. So I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Beautiful Venn diagram there. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think when we do create these safe spaces for people and have vulnerability in connection with other people, it just allows everybody to rise, because I think everybody can cry by themselves in their rooms, and everybody has so much of an easier time being vulnerable on their own. But when they know that other people aren't going to look at them weird, or they're not going to be, put down for doing it, it's just okay. And it's normal and it's safe. And the next girl might do it the next class and people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I think it's just so much more than a workout class. It's such a healing experience.
I think you hit on something, that being able to have your own experience, your individual experience within the context of a collective, it disintegrates shame. Right? It dissolves that reaction around, oh, well, I must be crazy, or I must be PMSing, or let me, blame this on something else or someone else. Actually, what if you just owned that was your experience? And should you be so lucky to have a community that's like, great, stand by your experience, let it move. And I think it's the idea that if you commit to the feeling, this is of course all within the fabric of the class by Taryn Toomey, where it's, should you give yourself permission to have your experience, the current of your being will automatically change it. The current of your being allows it to flow.
Yeah.
The current of your being creates the transformation of it.
I do love that so much. Yeah. I was thinking too, going back to what you said about releasing control. So I noticed like a lot of what you were saying yesterday in class was really related to that. And I'd love to know kind of how you do that in your everyday life. Like, I know that you probably practice it within the class, but is there other things that you do to help kind of release the control and kind of be okay being uncomfortable through all of these changes? Because it's not always comfortable. Some of the things that we want to create and step into, it's not comfortable usually.
Yeah. I think,
or you'd already be there.
Right. Yeah.
So true.
We say this a lot within the company. If it were easy, it had already been done. Right? I think my personal practice is truly about awareness, coming on top of the thought or the reaction that's asking me to go into pattern of trying to control. It's a fine line, right? Because for your job, or for if you're planning an event, or if you're going to have any semblance of a schedule or a structure, you do need some level of planning. So I think actually the work is in the threshold between the plan that's made and the willingness to let it change. So a lot of my job on the back end of the class, when I'm not teaching, is moving into the future. And when we get into roadblocks, or for example, here in LA, we are at Wanderlust, and we're also at the Space Samo. Prior to that, we were at a location where we had an angry neighbor who, rightly so, was hearing loud music at 9 a.m, and he was trying to sleep, right? And so my reaction to that was control the situation. Okay, well, what do we need to do to either pacify the neighbor, or put up soundproofing within the studio that we're at? Or can we invite him to class? Can we, what are all these ways, how can we problem solve?
Right.
And when I did try multiple things, I turned to Courtney Crowley, who's our director of LA operations. And I said, I wonder if there's some higher thing working here. Maybe this problem isn't a problem. It's actually something working for us. And the moment that I released the control of trying to put a square peg in a round hole, we discovered that the Space Samo, whatever. So it ultimately led us to a much more fluid change, and the class is thriving at the Space Samo. The owner, Lauren Freda, is a huge cheerleader for us, and she changed her business model so that it supports female fitness businesses, and it just all ended up coming into complete alignment.
Right.
And and I reflect back on it as, oh, interesting. That was me trying to maintain control and swim upstream.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's one somewhat benign business example, but you can apply that to just about anything, right?
So true.
Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? I'm muscling to make it work. Well, I need to find the outcome, and I need to find it now.
Yeah.
Right. And then that relaxation.
Yes.
Of what if this isn't a quote unquote problem? What if this is just something I need to step back from, give breath to, even space, maybe time, and open up to the possibility of the unknown, of something that my ego or my prefrontal cortex, that my brain isn't quite capable of problem solving.
And just let it happen how it's supposed to happen. I think a lot of times it does just need a little bit of space.
Yeah. The frontier between, surrender and logic.
Yes. And then you start to trust more and more as those things happen. Because it's like, look what happened for you guys when you did that.
Yeah. I think that there's a mistake that we in the wellness world or the spiritual world make in this articulation, that effort is still required. Work is still required.
Completely,
it's not kicking back and hoping that, your business takes off, or your marriage, you can be in your marriage for the next 10 years and not have to work, or any of these. It's not without effort, but the struggle and the suffering is what's in our control.
Yes.
How much we suffer and muscle through a particular crisis is up to us. The work and the effort required, well, that's going to depend on the project.
Exactly. It's interesting that because I was telling Brett, I could feel that was coming from you. Like that was especially something that you were really passionate and focused upon within like the collective energy of like you've kind of honed in on like this is important to you for people to understand. And like why do you think that this is such a big thing right now within the planet to be kind of breaking people of?
Good cue. Well, let's first take it down to the micro level, the micro level is I'm asking you to engage in a burpee for 5 minutes, right? For the duration of one song. I hope this isn't scaring any of your listeners, but we are working one move for the duration of one song, right? And in that is you're using your body as the grounds for investigation of self-exploration. So it's asking you to deal with your relationship to endurance, your relationship to stamina. And when you're in it, any number of things can happen. Avoidance, comparison, judgment. And then one of the ways in which we get in there is struggling. You find it in the tension in your eyebrows, the holding of your voice, the holding of your breath, right? And JC Gossett, who's the director of teacher training, Taryn and I love that on a retreat one time, she was saying, notice the moments where you are catching the breath. Those are the moments that require the most attention, right? And that is usually when we are muscling toward an outcome.
Yeah.
Struggling within something rather than using breath, using surrender, but still doing the work. And that's not just the burpee. I mean, that's how we count down to the weekend. That's how we count down to a glass of wine. That's how we put ourselves in, the moment that when is this going to be over? That struggle within our own life. When is this going to be done? Well, what Taryn always says is, well, it'll be over when you want it to be over.
Yeah.
And that is the relinquishing of struggle. You can apply that to just about anything.
So true.
Your relationship, your career, your, love, money, all of it.
Yeah, well, it's just mind training and it's teaching people to get through things more gracefully because it's exactly what you said. It's our choice. So we're going to have the difficult things in the class, in our practice, in our life, no matter what.
Yeah, there's so much that isn't our choice.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's like, how is your mind going to go through that? And are you going to do it positively or negatively? Are you going to allow it to pull you down or allow it to propel you forward and help rise you up? So it really is mind training.
Yeah.
I mean,
training,
I will say,
operative word.
It's the mind training. And that is actually the most important thing of all the things because, like we've used Kundalini as that is, a mind training I've been going through for years now. And I know that myself 2-3 years ago, taking that class yesterday would have reacted so much differently in it had I not had trainings where you're doing, hour-long meditations and your arms are above your head and you're like, they're going to fall off. I don't know when this is going to be over, but it's obviously going to be over soon because it, more time has passed than before. So you just kind of get in this, like, you train your mind to have fun with it. Just know that it's like going to be over. And then I noticed with myself with the control, even yesterday, I would get all the way through. And I would be like, okay, I'm just going to back off because I need to have some stamina to get through the rest. And then you would be like, okay, 10, 9. I'm like, oh, why do I every time almost like back off right before something is over or like, let's just say coming to me, like receiving the ending of it or receiving a gift. And like, this is something to look at. So it was a very spiritual experience, even though we were doing a workout. So
that is the hope.
Yeah.
For us and for our students, right? That there is a realization that happens in your reaction to what's happening in class, that you're able to relate to the reaction that happens out there.
Yeah. Well, and because you're using your body so vigorously to, it's the same kind of thing as I would say Kundalini, but different. Obviously, it's more rigorous and it's more movement of energy and you're still kind of using it to really have an experience of yourself and your habits. Like it really was apparent to me what I was doing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see that I basically block things off.
Yeah. I think, that is sort of the highest intention is that we start to understand our habits and our patterns. And if they're working negatively for us, to go back to what you were saying, or positively for us. And that also maybe converse is the right word, is also okay. That if you're going there purely for fitness reasons and, to burn a lot of calories, that's also welcome. Right.
Yeah.
And there is also something else happening.
Yeah.
Should the openness to it be there.
Yeah. And you're going to burn a lot of calories.
If you want to or not.
I posted on my story yesterday of us all like sitting, like it was at the end of class. And I was like, do not let this quiet moment fool you. And I was like dripping in sweat on the other end of the camera. Like, oh my God. The eyes were all wide. Like, what just happened?
I love that you say what just happened, because it should bypass the cerebral. It should, the experience ideally bypasses the intellect, right?
Yeah. Well, it did.
Good.
Yes.
Huzzah.
And you're such an incredible leader and teacher and such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I think our audience listening and anybody who loves Kundalini will love the class, because it does feel like there are similarities, but it is so different. And it feels like a really cool complement to have more of a intense, sweaty workout. So that's how we feel.
That's great.
But that's why we think it's such a good
fit
in general.
This practice really was birthed from Taryn's years of just being in her body, being out of her body, coming back into her body, but having multiple. She was a yoga teacher. She experienced a lot of different types of therapy. But it really wasn't until 2 years after we had begun working together that either of us had ever tried Kundalini. And Guru Jagat was doing a workshop at Kula Yoga, my favorite yoga studio in New York. And we both attended and we were like, wow. So this is Kundalini. There is so much overlap. And though the athleticism is not similar, the precepts are.
Definitely.
Right? So I always say that while the class isn't yoga, it's yogic.
It is yogic for sure.
Some philosophies that are flowing through.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know that is what it's like this is the perfect complement for sure to a major Kundalini practice, because then you're sweating and I can't walk, but I know if I do it, if I do it more and more, I'll be stronger, of course.
Yeah. Trying anything for the first time, right? You're gonna
but like my abs feel really good. And I'm like, wow.
Because I practice this practice so frequently, I don't necessarily get sore from this anymore, but doing anything else, like yin yoga, like walking to the grocery store. I'm like, I didn't know I had those muscles, but I could probably burpee for, days on end.
So funny. Yeah. It's so important to switch it up.
It's when you try something new, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
Funny,
amazing. Well, I think we would love to hear a little bit more about how you guys are growing so much, because we do have a lot of listeners that are like either wanting to find their purpose or already pursuing it. So I think it'd be cool, because you guys are such empowered women. And I know there's one man, right, that works with you guys?
We now have two.
Okay. Amazing. Such a good balance,
That's right.
But just in general, like such an amazing company that's doing such great work. And you guys have created this incredible movement, and so many people's lives are changed. Like I talked to a guy who had gone to your retreat. He said his life was completely changed.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was so kind and sweet. And
that was me. Energy moving. We're falling apart.
We are. Oh my God.
Well, to speak to the male topic, I mean, this class is for everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's for any gender, even if you don't ascribe to gender, it's for every human, right? And we always joke that the men who do come, we call them highly evolved males, because they're often athletes or artists. And it's because both of those types really understand that physical prowess has a lot to do with the mind. And that you can't run a marathon if you're not getting your emotional body and your mind involved. And Saul, who is our lawyer, but also, our sort of like our big brother and our cheerleader. He is front left, Matt. He is there, dedicated. And while he's also an athlete, and he is probably our most highly evolved male regular. And we're just so grateful for his presence, because when we do need the male perspective on how the class can incorporate more men or how we can make this more accessible, the messaging, he holds the secrets.
Saul holds the secrets.
I love
Better
that.
call Saul. Yeah,
Oh
but
God.
it really is for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it felt, it felt very feminine, like I said yesterday, but that was because there was a lot of women in there. And
Yeah.
if there were more men, it would just feel more like tribal. It's more tribal,
Yeah.
is what it felt like. It was really cool. It's really cool.
And on
It's
that
a different
next
experience.
on that next level, even politically,
Mhm.
that if more men were able to be comfortable in a room of women who are unabashedly feeling their power, their feminine power, who are unabashedly stepping into their vulnerability, my God, how would our world change?
I know.
Yes.
So it is an intention of ours
Mhm.
to do a better job of welcoming men into class. They're always welcome, but to actively ask them to join us, because that would be a major turning point if more men could step into a emotional maturity that allows for women to be their whole full selves without retracting or getting angry about it or being confused by it or retaliating against it or shutting it down.
I think so
Definitely.
many men are really moving towards that, if not are already there. So like I feel it.
I hope.
I feel like there are a lot, at least that I come in contact with.
Good,
and
yeah.
it's beautiful, but there's still a lot of work to
And
do.
I think it's important that we recognize that, who we in the wellness world come in contact with is a very small fraction,
Yes.
and that the dream is to make it more accessible so that more men of different backgrounds and demographics, and of course this includes women too, are able to experience the work. And it's not just for those in New York, those in LA, those in Vancouver, but to make it wider. We're looking into live streaming one day. We're looking into creating more studios. We're looking into different ways in which we can bring this into more of a community service world. Open it up. We have the community class now, which is you choose how much you'd like to pay for class. So,
cool.
The goal, the vision is to bring this work to as many people as we can.
Amazing.
I
Where
love
is
that,
that one? The community class? Is that it?
That's in New York in our Tribeca studio.
Okay.
And as soon as we have more woman power here in LA and more teachers on the ground and eventually a dedicated studio, that'll happen here too.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys are growing so much. So do you have anything that would inspire somebody who would love to do something like this, where it is creating change on the planet? Like, how do you guys have your vision and your motivation, and what keeps you going to really?
Well, there's many ways to join us. There's retreats, there's our layer program. But I think if somebody wanted to take this practice into their own home or for example, their run in the morning, the very first thing one might do is to recognize that you are not your thoughts, right? The sort of basic 101 principle that we are the one thinking the thought. And so if you're on that run, to recognize the stream of consciousness that's happening and to decide whether or not you believe it. And that I would say if there was one thing that you could apply to not just your run, but your job, and blanket it across everything you do, coming on top of the thought, using that awareness, using that attention to your thoughts, that would be how you bring the class into your life. Step
Love
one.
that.
Step one. I love it. So cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So true. So, is it the same class every time? I guess was my only other question.
No.
Or it always switches up.
The playlist
right?
changes every class.
Okay,
and
cool.
the sequence of movements change every class.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the music, by the way.
Oh, good.
Are you like a DJ, or do you guys create this?
I know, right?
We do plan our own playlist, but
Okay.
Taryn she must have been a DJ in her past life. And she really has instilled in us how music is your co-teacher, how music is the emotional guiding force underneath the class.
Mm-hmm.
And man, someone give her a turntable. I cannot imagine the magic that would happen. Yeah, she's been an incredible mentor of mine, period. I was going to say, especially in that realm of music, but just blanket statement, she's been an incredible mentor of mine for all of this, for this, truly this awakening I've gone through in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool. I love it. So, okay. So a couple last questions that we always ask everyone on the elevator. So, what is your favorite way to elevate yourself?
Shutting down all screens.
Oh, I like that.
Completely detoxifying my system from technological input is definitely the fastest way to return to myself.
Oh, I like that.
And then the second thing that came to mind is I drink tea, and I drink tea because it requires time and ritual. So in the middle of the day, when I'm moving at 90 miles an hour or there's a lot going on, I will ask of myself, the water needs time to boil. The tea needs time to steep. The accoutrements need time to blend. And then you can't drink it right away. It's too hot. So there's duration in that ritual that helps me slow down. And then last but not least, my best girlfriends are my medicine. The ability to laugh and cry freely without judgment in the midst of my nearest and dearest. It is my heart's greatest priority.
Oh, love that.
So I just saw like all of your energy, like in that was really, it's very, very, very sweet. I like it. I feel like a lot of people, I don't even know what I just saw, but it was really cool. I just saw all of your energy beautiful. And like how like happy and abundant your life is just from like connecting with other people. It doesn't sound as profound as I'm making it sound, but it's really, I saw all of your energy right now. It's really cool.
I love it. And how often do you shut down all your screens? Because we're playing with that.
Yeah, I wish it were more often. I would say once a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I guess it is a lot, right?
Yeah.
In this day and age. Becky, who's our president, I answered a text from her late night or early morning or something. And immediately she was like, "What are you doing on your phone?" And she's so great. She really is asking all of us in the company to practice what we preach. So after that day where she was the mirror for me, now the phone doesn't just go on airplane mode, it goes off. You too.
I'm like, I've never done that unless it's charging. I need to do that.
I do
little things, guys. Little things.
When my phone dies, I get happy. I do notice that. I'm like, just let it be dead for a little bit.
There you go.
But then I have this thought of like, oh God, when I turn it on, it's going to be so much to deal with.
That's the curse of our generation.
I know. It's like, do you want to like
out the accessibility?
Exactly.
It just doesn't matter.
It's like, do you want to deal with it all piled up or just all the time? I don't know. Just not sure.
Life is going to continue whether or not we're checking our emails.
I agree.
Yeah.
Things kind of resolve themselves too if you just let them go. Yeah. Somebody else will fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. The last question
is, if you had one message to share with the world, what would your message be?
The way you treat yourself is the way you teach others to treat you. So you might as well start with kindness.
Love.
Yeah. I
like that a lot.
Because
a lot.
That is. It is. It's what you attract and it's what you embody. It's what your energy is, how you're treating yourself and at what level of kindness you're giving.
Yeah, it's the grounds for your boundaries or lack thereof. It's the grounds for the kind of radiance you are going to live with or exhibit. And it is what you are going to attract. And my God, how things would be different if we upped the ante on the kindness, huh?
Yeah.
For oneself.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which is boundaries. It's not.
Yeah. Turn off your phone.
Seriously.
After you finish listening to this podcast.
Please hold. Thank you so much, Natalie, for coming on the podcast. It's so amazing to connect with you.
My ultimate pleasure. Thank you for asking me to join you. Thank you for conversation, and thank you for being in class. Thank you for the work you're putting out into the world, and thank you for elevating the dialogue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Love you guys.
Love you
Love
too.
you. So that was such an inspiring and elevating conversation. I really liked so much of what we talked about and so much of what she said, and even just the comparing yourself to others and thinking about how we can really not do that, and how we can really empower more women and come together to move together and talk about these kind of subjects and connect and collaborate is something that's really cool, that we're really, it's a really big deal for us to promote that.
Yeah, the collaboration with other women, especially. I think, we, like I said, on the podcast, it's like as women, we're really better together in groups. And so even, outside of the class by Taryn Toomey, or any class that we're in, it's like if we can kind of work together as a global community as women and bring in the men too, we are going to be all creating so much power and change here on the planet. So that's kind of what I loved about the class more than anything, was it just felt like power was made there. Like you just kind of returned to the earth, returned to the power, and it got, gives you a little glimpse of what's really inside of you. So that's kind of like a big deal.
Right? Absolutely. So I hope everyone gets a chance to try the class by Taryn Toomey, and yeah, we know you guys are going to love it. And definitely follow Natalie. She's a beautiful soul doing such great things in the world.
Yes. So, she's an Aries, we know.
Yes.
I love it. So much fire in her. Anyway, okay, so we're going to do a little lobby talk, yeah?
It's time for lobby talk.
So we just got back from New Mexico about a week ago, and we're still kind of processing the whole experience. We're going to be doing a full podcast on our experience at the Sunrise Springs Spa Resort in the Santa Fe area. So we'll be doing that. And we were able to go up to summer solstice for an early morning sadhana with like 1,500 yogis, which was pretty badass. And we woke up at like 2:30 to get up there. So, time for us is just opening up, and it's just not real. It's not
true.
Linear. So, we can do these things. And it used to be that would have been like really hard for us to get up that early. And it would have been this whole big thing, to deal with. And it was so easy.
So easy.
It really was. So,
yeah.
I think, for me there at Sunrise Springs and the whole experience we had, it was really the biggest thing that kept coming up was really slowing down. It's also happened at Solstice too, like slowing down and really enjoying the ride, because I know everything that I asked for is there. Everything that I want is there. There is an end goal. And so I can slow down and enjoy the journey to getting there. And that actually came through when I was walking the labyrinth at summer solstice. So it's like a little maze, basically.
Yes.
Britt, you did it too.
Yeah. So it was an extremely healing and really fun trip with so many other amazing ladies. Georgie from The Little Flower Petal, Caroline from
Plant Place Blonde,
and Kate
Van Horn
was there. And so it was so much fun to be with them. And yeah, we had so many similar messages, Tara and I, when we were there, like we did. And we'll tell you guys all of this because we are going to do a whole podcast episode on it. So we don't want to tell you too much, but But yeah, the theme really was about like, how can you enjoy each moment to its full capacity, even more, so much so that you don't want that moment to pass. And that's what truly being in the present moment is, and what being present is. And that's how we're really able to actually fully live and really attract and experience everything that's coming to us, and just really feel this life versus being in our heads and being in the future and the past and worrying and being anxious and, you know, all of that. It's like, just drop into the heart, be in the moment, be breathing and be enjoying it so much that, you know, you're not blocking anything because you're just in it, and things can flow to you, and things are much easier because you're in that flow that, you know, we always hear about and talk about. So
wasn't the message that you got like, I think you told me it was like, you were so happy in this one moment, and you got a message like, you have to be this happy in every single moment, that you don't want it to end.
Yes.
And then that's how you're in the flow.
Exactly. Like, I literally, in this crazy like Native American ceremony with dancing and prayers, and it was like all of the elements, they like saged us and winded us with these feathers and did like water on us, and then what else?
Splashed us with a whole like handful of flowers.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Literally flowers all over our head. But yeah, we're not going to tell you everything. Oh my God. We get excited.
I know. We got to tell you about the sweat lodge and the sadhana, solstice sadhana.
Oh my
we got to tell you all the
so
things.
Much. And I had so many more messages come through the labyrinth. So we'll go into all of that, I think next week on the podcast. So stay tuned. But overall, you know, we have so many exciting things going on. We just wrapped up Gabby Bernstein's Spirit Junkie Masterclass. So many of you are joining us. We have our Bali retreat that we're announcing this week. So check that out and stay tuned to sign up. It's going to be December 2nd through the 7th. And what else? We did a live yoga class with Fabletics on Summer Solstice International Yoga Day. We did a class. We're going to be doing at least one event a month for those of you in LA.
So we did like a live class.
Yeah, we did a live class, and then we did an event. And it's just so incredible to have more energy, and summer solstice and just this energy of the summer in general really does give us more energy. The sun's out longer and it's lighter later, and so much is available to us to tap into. So we're really just embracing it all, and we have so much to come too.
Yes. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and send us a screenshot to the elevator at elevatetheglobe.com, and we will send you our magic morning checklist. And we just love to see all of your love for the show. And it's just a wonder. We just love it so much. So also, for anyone who is not yet in our private Facebook group, the Elevate the Globe Spiritual Warriors, we will leave that link at the bottom of the show notes so you can join us in all the things that we do every week and talk about. And it's such a wonderful group of people getting together to be able to actually talk about some of this really spiritual stuff that we talk about in Lobby Talk. So we love you guys so much. And
Thanks so much for listening.
Yes. With that, may the pure light within you guide your way on.
Sat Nam.
Sat Nam, everyone.
Go take a class with Natalie by Taryn Toomey and get sore and elevated.